take this first quick second to apologize if this gets longer than 6 minutes. I'm trying to avoid that, but with the topic I'm about to discuss, it might just happen. This is also my third take. This is a spotlight post. I've done one before. It was a text post, obviously, about optimism. This one is about role models. About half hour ago, I received a question in my Ask box on my personal Tumblr asking me, why do I like Captain America? It's a comic, and I don't see how this can be a role model. Here, I'll even show you. Maybe. Yeah, there it is. If you can see it, if you can't, that's what it says. So, I do want to talk about Captain America being my role model, and how I have adapted it to help me get through these times. So, most likely I will be reading, or paraphrasing what I wrote in response to the ask. Most likely paraphrasing because it did end up being almost 850 words long. So, sitting here going you're really asking me that question. I don't know if this person had stumbled upon my blog, was a new follower, or anything, but it's blatantly obvious if you look at my blog. I love Captain America. So, first of all, is there something in the rules of life where there's a list of requirements that need to be there for someone to have a role model? A role model can be anyone. It can be a celebrity, it could be a family member, it could be a teacher, a friend, a historical person, and in my case, a fictional character. I believe fictional characters as a role model is what I think are the best kind to have as role models. You can read their stories, find things in them that you can personally relate to, and not need an actual explanation for it. Fictional characters can do things that normal humans can't do, and you're impressed by that. So you try to find a way to kind of adapt that to yourself without trying to be a wizard, superhero, crime-solving doctor from Gallifrey. I look up to Captain America for a lot of reasons. Let's just start with plain old Steve Rogers. If you are unfamiliar with the story of Captain America, Steve Rogers is Captain America's name. Before he receives the super soldier serum, he is this tiny, little, stubborn, sickly kid orphaned on the streets of Brooklyn. His father died in what's rumored the First World War, and his mother died of tuberculosis. And this is right after basically Pearl Harbor and the end of the Great Depression. So Steve has some issues. I did initially connect with first being sickly and stubborn because that's me. And the sickly part is obvious. And then trying to do things that I shouldn't be doing because obvious health problems, but that's still not gonna stop me, because, yeah. Then he's bullied. If you've seen the movie at least, basically one of the first opening scenes when we're introduced to Steve, he's getting his ass kicked in an alleyway. But he didn't run away from the fight. That does tie, I believe, more in with the stubbornness, but never running away from the fight shows strength and ambition to show that you're just not the little guy. I strive to be different, and that's because of Steve Rogers. And we're not even to Captain America yet. Steve was chosen by Dr. Erskine for the Project Rebirth, which was supposed to build an army of super soldiers using the super soldier serum. And then you need to take into effect that Steve kept getting turned away. He had 5 nose basically on the table before he met Dr. Erskine. But Dr. Erskine was able to look past that tiny kid from Brooklyn, past the long list of medical reasons, to see the real Steve Rogers, which the real Steve Rogers is amazing. I'm going to use a line from the movie because I believe that's a little more recognizable, but when Steve was asked by Dr. Erskine if he wanted to fight Nazis, he said he doesn't want to kill anyone, I don't like bullies, I don't care where they come from. It showed this, he wasn't doing this because he wanted to fight people, he wanted to kill people. He wanted to stand up for people who were like him, stand up for the other little guys that are being kicked in the ass in the back corner behind every alleyway in Brooklyn. And that's another reason I immediately took to his character and wanted to adapt into my life. I was bullied, okay, tangent, it really shouldn't be as much as a surprise, bullying these days, because at one point I believe most people have been bullied in their life. But, among other things, but I kept my ground, to quote Mr. Rogers. I had them on the ropes, never letting them get to me, and I honestly do thank Steve Rogers for that. After he receives the Super Soldier Serum and becomes Captain America, he is still Steve Rogers. He's still that kid from Brooklyn. He follows what Dr. Erskine told him for, doesn't matter, like, I'm paraphrasing this, but it doesn't matter if you're a good soldier, but for being a good man, for sticking to himself, to not forgetting who he was. The Steve Rogers that he was still there, but he just, all he did was grow a few feet, have some muscles, and become basically a superhuman. And then when he's finally able to fight as Captain America after doing all those stupid war bond tours, he's doing exactly what he wanted. He's fighting bullies, standing up for people like him, but just in this case, bullies were Nazis. And he kept true to himself. He never let himself get conceited or overconfident because he had this new body that was supplied to him with the super serum. And when Schmidt, I'm still going to quote the movie just because it might be easier for people watching this. When Schmidt, who is the villain, asks, "What's so special about you?" The most amazing line, "Nothing, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn." It shows Steve's not going to change. He's going to stick to his morals, to what he believes in, to what he thinks is right. Captain America, Steve Rogers, he's my role model. He's taught me to stand up for myself. Don't run away when things get tough. Keep fighting for what you think is right. Keep true to yourself. You're capable of doing things that you don't think you'd be able to do. All of these things were able to apply to my life the first time I was diagnosed. I share the Frodo and the Harry stories more than often because I feel like those are the ones that people could understand right away. Like, I mention it and they're like, "Oh yeah, right." But Captain America, Steve Rogers, is my ultimate reason to keep fighting. I keep fighting. I don't back down from the fight. I don't run away when it gets tough. I didn't change myself because I just had to give up. I didn't change because things were happening with my body I didn't understand. I can stand up for what I believe in, for what I want to do, to know what the right ambition I can achieve, what I want. And that's to get the frick rid of this. So, everyone's allowed a role model, it doesn't matter who they are. Mine just happens to be Steve Rogers and Captain America.